Thank you. Thank you.
I want to give the welcome to everyone that is coming in to the live. Andre, Anto, always there. If you guys, anyone that's coming in, can tell us hi on the comments, or even anything you would like to ask Alexey. Take advantage and hit the questions right there. Rose is there, Joe. So all the girls are coming.
Pretty much, you know most of the instructors that work with us, and even students that have been with us.
Awesome, awesome.
I haven't met you. Hi, I'm Candelaria. I'm Lucre's sister.
Yeah.
I can see Rose. Hello, Rose.
Thank you so much for taking your time. As we were saying, we really appreciate it, and it's a whole honor to have you here in Surface Interval today with us and have the chance to ask you a lot of questions on one hand, and as well like try to introduce you we are pretty fascinated with your multitasking. Let's say it's not only about being the deepest swimmer. I like to say swimmer so that then no one can discuss. It's like down, like on your own means. So the deepest man, and on top of that, you have the Molchanov school that is like growing so much and doing so much, and at the same time developing gear and everything. So it's like, wow.
How?
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense, and personal training as well. So I need to remember that I need to, like, now with the quarantine, it's a little bit like you get very like driven, and you get very busy with things to do, and then it's like the whole day passed and you didn't train. So like you get to really I get really like to remember to go and train, because it's really important.
It is amazing how days pass faster than what we think. Suddenly it's just nighttime.
Yeah.
So actually Joe kind of just posted a question that is great to start with, and like just to give people that may not know so much background, is like Joe is asking, at what age did you start freediving, and what kind of training did you do at that age? Like your very start, like what moved you,
She's asking because she has young kids and they're already in the water. So I'm pretty sure she's going there.
This is the reason. Yeah, well, it's I think it's a lot depends on what you do as a kid. So my example shows that my mom started to train me when I was very young. When I was 3 years old, she started to train me as a swimmer. And when I was a swimmer as well, like we did a lot of breath hold activities. So even though freediving was not very developed, like it was 1990s, it was like I'm 1987, so 1990s. I was starting, and then it was like a lot of breath holds. And my mom loved to do breath holds herself. So even before she started freediving, she would do she would try to dive 100 meters no fins, like being a swimmer. So we had a lot of breath hold challenges, and then that was like my childhood. And I was traveling to the Black Sea, diving in the Black Sea in Russia, and we would like dive for fun, for the seashells mussels, and just enjoy like breath hold diving. And then I was doing a lot of swimming, and then there was my foundation. And I think this foundation, like endurance, strength, all that was very, very important for my future progress as a freediver. So like this foundation of traditional sport, like swimming a lot of kilometers every day, like developing the endurance, developing technique, developing strength and sensation for the water. It all helped, and currently now it's like the foundation for my like shape as a freediver, for my fitness level as a freediver.
That's awesome. And so there you go, Joe. You can keep training the guys. You can see her, like she puts, like they do challenges on buckets between her two kids have all the energy on the world, and they're like super water people. So she puts them to play, and you have like challenges in a bucket to see which one of them two holds their breath longer. You're on the right track, let's say.
It's really nice. I believe that if you started so young as well, you might have started developing such a confidence and comfort in the water without building up fears and stuff, that it does make a difference, no? Because when you're a kid, we like if you ever had a pool in your place, you hold your breath. That's what whenever we teach or I teach, is one of the most fun things. Is like I'm teaching what I used to play when I was a kid.
Exactly.
And if I can teach that, I'm good.
Yeah, and we do it in a more safe way, because like before, when we were kids, like it was not such rules about safety, about part, but like now you basically you have this game, but you also can do it safely and more efficient as well. So like even when I started freediving 2004, there was no such routines about breathing that's developed right now. So there are routines about preparation phase, about relaxation before the dive. That's very different now, and like it's much safer practices now than what it was like 10 years, 15 years ago.
Yeah. It is really interesting how an ABC that you guys on all of these years had developed, because that's what it is. Like thanks to everyone that had been doing it with no knowledge and starting digging into it, is that today people can be performing how they perform, or we can teach even to people that are beginners what we teach, because if before a person would be scared or so, it would be much more different to teach them than if we wouldn't have an ABC. How did you when in 2004 or so, when you didn't have so much information, like how did you manage it those days before?
Well, those days you collect information you have, so you talk to freedivers. A lot of knowledge was shared in the World Championships. So I think like a lot of progress was when I came to the World Championship. You talk to all these freedivers you saw on the like YouTube, and back then it was not so much content on the YouTube, or like it was not so much information. So you travel, you talk live, and you collect this information piece by piece, and then you like develop the system. And like my mom started developing, like we founded Freediving Federation in Russia 2005, and then we started to do research around it, train people around it. So the foundation of our Molchanov system was back then 2005, when we started train people. We started like train national team, and like my mom was working in university and doing research and like teaching students on freediving, and it was like developed like step by step over years. So it took a lot of years for us to like really finalize it in Russia and then move it 2018 like really like wide international.
Yeah, actually that was one of the things that we had, like that we were thinking about, is how did you pass from the Russian Federation into the Molchanov system, and what did you took out of that, and how did you develop it? Because one thing is training more on an athlete like into a more recreational. What is really nice of the Molchanov system is not just recreational, even not, it has all that background that of course athletes is seen on how to train, how to create community, and how to keep people like engaged on that as well. But how was that transition from the Russian Federation, or what do you take out of that into the Molchanov system?
Well, the transition was very natural, because like in the beginning, in the very first steps, it was all building around community and more around the needs of the community. So my mom showed like really like showed an example. Like she became like leading international freediver, but she also became leading Russian freediver. So naturally, we had a lot of requests for education for the courses, and so we get this community gathering around her. So it was not really her looking for the students; it was basically opposite. It was students who coming to look for her, and then she was like very busy with them university education. She was like very keen to do this research and like around the methodics around freediving, and it was developing the courses. So the same like traditional way like back then, and even like for a lot of agencies, it's like traditional way to do now, like courses. But also the very important part of this freediving path is training, is regular like pool training, or even like dry training, like breathing gymnastics, like stretching and all that, which like leads to the like progress for freedivers. And this piece that was missing in a lot of agencies, and we started to develop it back then 2005, like trainings. And my mom developed this training like day by day for like beginner freedivers to the experienced freedivers, and that's what currently we have as a foundation of base training concepts. So we have courses and base training concepts in Molchanov's. And Molchanov's movement is like the uniting everything together, like education, training. So it's like it was very gradual, very like natural transition.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like we can, like, as a school that today have several instructors that have been with you doing the crossover and trying to, like, actually there's some of them that are in Hawaii and in other parts like that. It's really nice, the philosophy and the way you guys are promoting and how it's growing, and it's growing as it is as well, because what you guys doing and transmitting, it's really cool. So if it means
it makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense.
It's really nice to see that on the freediving world, that concept of community, that concept of training and conscious, that is not like it's something that in Amancay we do try to foment a lot, that is not one to the other one and just about like how much can you get. If not, there is a process, and you need to, like, I think that the base training gives time for everyone, for their bodies to adapt, to keep working, to keep improving. So it's really nice to see that into a whole system of education, so it's awesome.
Body and also mind, because like if you force like it's a big mistake for the beginner freediver really to try to push for the numbers, like really like I'm coming to do this freediving course and I want to do like a 5-minute breath holds, or like 4 minute, like whatever number you have in the head, like, and like without actual foundation, without actual like letting your body to adapt to it, but also like letting your mind to like find their way to do it without over like training, without like pushing for the result without pleasure. So like it's all about this details, technique, also like ways to like learn how to experience like this, a bit of urge to breathe, a bit of discomfort, but still enjoy it. Like, so you learn how to like enjoy the difficulties basically, and it takes time to actually learn this mindset.
I have to say, it's amazing to hear the world champions telling you that, guys. Like, anyone that comes to the courses and gets frustrated because they're looking for a number or they want to get to a target or anything, like, you've just heard the world champions saying, like, take your time, give your body time to adapt to it, because it's part of the process, it's awesome.
Sí, sorry, I was writing the question, but I just erased it, so I'm just going to read it out loud. Alexey, now that we're talking about like the philosophies, and which is great because you could apply it for Molchanov's movement, what do you think for you, like what do you have the most present of all of the philosophies? Because we know that Natalia has been amazing. It's not messenger, but it's like a person that has spread the spirit of freediving in such a way. What for you is what you have most present within your freediving journey of all of those amazing develops and things? Does that make sense?
From Natalia, or I mean in general, like?
Well, from Natalia's philosophy, or in general, what is the philosophy that you carry with you along all your journey?
I think the most important for like, you can divide it into different groups, like for the sport, for example, my mom had really like a good saying where it helped to remove this anxiety and worries when you like about to die, when you about to perform something. And for me, it's for competition, but for like freedivers, it might be not for competition, might be for like for personal dives. But basically, when you expect to perform and you expect to deliver like some good results, you might be worried, you might be very anxious. And then idea that it's not actually, you change perspective, and it's like not really like the most important thing in your life. You're like have much more important things. Like you have, like my mom example was like there was like a birth of like kids, or like whatever, the birth and the death, and like those are like important things, like worth to worry about. But like these games, like freediving, and even the world championships, it's like a game for the adults. And this perspective really helps to take the pressure down for my performances. Like I'm there, like I'm competing, and then okay, it's like a game, I'm trying to perform really well, but it's not the end, like it's not the end of the role if I'm losing. So actually this ability to be okay with losing That's important because like, and not only on my level, on the world championships level, but also like
but on failing a dive or whatever would it be?
For any level, failing a dive, it's totally fine. It's like okay, you learn, and then like it's not, you don't need to expect like to like really do the dive successfully every time, right? You go, you try, it works great, it doesn't work, you think, you learn, and you analyze it. So this approach is really helpful, like for freediving, but also in general for life. You basically
Well, that's one of the biggest reasons why freediving can be so helpful for life, no, in general. How we at least we take it from a perspective where we help a lot of people, not on competition or anything. Like, we don't have much people engaging into competitions or anything, but yes, how freediving has changed their lives in other aspects that clearly, like what, as you're saying, no, you apply it for competition, but it can be applied for everything. That's amazing. There is always much more serious things in this life than not being able to hold your breath for 6 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever.
Exactly.
Actually, I had never got that answer, like I always get like relaxation or breathing or how the approach, but that answer of, hey, it's not the most important part of the world, like there is other things more important, and with that on your head, it's like, that's true,
then it is said by the person that dives 130 meters.
Exactly. But it is a journey to get there. Like, it has to be a process. It's not from one day to the other one. So
exactly.
You've been doing like 30 years to get where you are. People, you can't get there in a year.
You can. And then people think sometimes that I like dive. I dive to 130 meters now, and I was like, they don't expect me to be diving. That I was diving 30 meters at some point, like.
Wow.
But I was a 30-meter diver at some point. Like, just this is idea, like worth to considering. Like I was not all my life. I was not all my life 130-meter diver. Like I was also a 30-meter diver as well.
Oh, that's awesome. We would love to see that.
I think I have some shots of me diving 45. So one of my second year of, well, like first year, but like I dive 45, and I'm struggling equalizing. Like I'm at 45 and like trying to equalize. I'm like that. I have this video.
Actually, that is one that brings me to one of the questions I've had in my mind. Is what has been your biggest challenge during your journey as a freediver? Like, since you started, like what were your, each one of us has different, some people is equalization, some people is mental. There is always a combination of everything, but which barrier did you experience, or what depth that was that barrier that you say, dude, how do I overcome this one? Like.
Okay, well, equalization was one of their. Equalization was a problem, and it was a problem, I think, for the first 1.5 year, and I was like improving. I was getting better with it, and I was progressing. I think because of my flexibility. I was 17 years old, so I started when I was like even not officially like allowed to compete. So I was 17 years old, and I continue from like 30 meters the first trip to like 45 the next trip to like 55 the next trip to 65 the next trip, like 73. And then I was like, when I was like on the fifth or sixth trip, I was at 73, which is really good progress for the beginner. But I think I was able to do this because of my like foundation as a swimmer, and like be a good technique and like good breath hold and good flexibility as well. So I was pretty flexible, and I was doing yoga a lot back then, like when I was a teenager. And then I didn't know the technique, and it was 2004, 2005, and there was no much equalization workshops, or it wasn't so much of them. And in 2005, in September, on the first AIDA World Championship, that was like the first year when AIDA was holding individual world championship. So before it was a couple of team ones, but individual was the first year. So actually, I was participating in the first AIDA World Championship in pool, and then it was the first AIDA World Championship in the depth, one after each other. So the first was in Lausanne and in the pool, and immediately all the athletes moved from Switzerland to France. And there, everybody's there. It's like first ever world championship, and lots of athletes, lots of conversations. And I learned mouthfeel in the elevator going from the first floor to the third floor. that was my learning moment of like truth. But then before, of course, I had this like 1.5 year. I was already like, I had a very good sensations of the muscles, of the tongue, of their soft palate. So I had a good sensation. So it wasn't like, okay, I didn't know anything and I learned it. I was 1173 meters, which is a good result. And I was 18 years old. And then I had a Japanese freediver who is not diving anymore, but back then he was like one of the deepest Japanese freediver, Kazuaki Ichikawa. Somebody from old guys probably know him, but after this he started to party a lot in Japan and he stopped freediving.
Freediving demands a lot of discipline.
yeah. And like I was with him in the elevator, and I was like, Kazuaki, like, oh, Katz. He was like Katzo. Like Italians will love this name. Everybody calls him Katz. And then how to do this? How to equalize? Like, is there any? He's like, oh, there's this technique nowadays, like going on around, like mouth feel. Try it. And like, how to do this? And he like, just mouth, do them, like, get the air in the mouth and like
and
squeeze
chew
it and chew on it. Yeah, like that. So the explanation was basically very simple. And like, okay, I'll try. And like next day, I improved from 73 to 83. So I like, okay, like plus 10 meters. Or like, wait a second, I think no, I didn't add so much, but I was doing like 78 or 80. But like I improved to 80 meters. And in competition, I felt confident enough, like with equalization. So I announced 83, and I did 83 in the competition, the same like period. And then yeah, that was the time when I learned it. And then with more years, I was improving it, becoming much more like efficient, fine tune it, like learning it. But then since then I didn't have equalization problems. I was like always like fine with it. So that was one of my issues. And then next, I think, big step was when I started to reach the depth where like the compression was so high, like you risking squeezes. So like I was like feeling that I didn't have big squeezes, but I had some minor ones. And I felt, okay, this is like, okay, now I need to learn how to relax even better. And then there was a period when I was learning how to like do that.
That's nice.
Awesome. And what now? This is a question because I've asked Alexia and Miguel already. What technique do you use for equalizing while going down? Do you actually do proper mouth feel? Do you do mouth feel on demand? What do you do exactly now?
I do mouth feel, and my mouth feel is alternating pressure. It's not constant pressure, so I would do mouth feel, and I would like do pretty much frenzel, and then I'll just like have a little details where I relax my tongue every time. I don't keep it like tense. I'll push and I'll relax. I'll push and relax, and then like that's the idea. Like, but I would do the normal mouth feel. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Like that's
we're all going to 100 meters now, guys.
yeah.
You both know that's kind of
yes. Actually, as we're talking about depth and comfort and all of that, Andre here is asking, which is your favorite relaxation technique or combination of techniques?
Okay, so for me, one of the technique that we like teach, which is pretty new for freediving community, we teach it in Molchanov, is attention deconcentration. So it's where you learn how to spread the attention over the vision field, and like you stop using energy to look around, to focus on objects, and you defocus your vision, and you redirect your attention to your body, and you can really find tensions, find more reserves to relax better. So all these things are possible if you learn how to control your attention and your mental focus. So the attention control and focus, like visual focus control, is one of the techniques. So you stop actually like looking at objects. You like, okay, you look in front of you, but your whole vision becomes a bit blurry. And then you can spend more time. You can spend more time with the relaxation. You can like observe. You can learn how to control the whole body, like sensations. You can learn how to like relax the whole volume of body at the same time. So you're not like just in the first steps when you become a beginner freediver, you learn the body scan. And the body scan is simple. You go one by one, like face muscles, like mimic muscles, eye muscles, neck, shoulders, chest. So you go one by one. But then with more experience, then you add there also the whole volume of the body. You observe it at once, and you relax the whole volume of body at once. So it's like, and it's a little bit more advanced, like techniques which you learn after like some time, but then that's the foundation of the relaxation I use now. I use attention to concentration and the whole body scan, like, but it's not really body scan anymore. It's like the whole body volume sensations.
Nice. Okay. That's super interesting. Yeah, I remember covering that with you on the course when you were in the Riviera Maya, and it is really useful. When we just opened Amancay, like just after the course I did with you, we opened Amancay.
You've been here twice, and none of them I could assist.
Someone has to work.
Alexis, that takes me to ask you, I think with the mouthfeel stuff, you might have answered a little bit, but what changes, and I'm going to show it here, what changes have you made along your career that you feel had made a difference, no? That had made you stand one step ahead on depth, etc.? Because nowadays you're like, this happened a couple of years ago already, that you step a big bar in between, I think it's constant, and then you have more time to train for other disciplines, etc. What is the biggest step that you feel you made for it, or the biggest change on your trainings, on your adaptations, or you just?
Well, I think the biggest step was when I was in the beginning, like trying to achieve results when I was younger, and I was trying to achieve results without focusing on the comfort of the deep dives and learning how to experience comfort still, even though on the deepest dives, like it was more mechanical. It was more like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, and like it's like a set of action which you perform, but then without this attention to the details. I don't think I was like very successful with relaxation. And it's actually like relaxation is a very simple word, but it actually uncovers year after year after year. You have this like additional layer of like even deeper relaxation. Then you find even like more muscles to relax. So I think like for me, the big change came when I learned how to focus not on the mechanical things during the dive, but how to focus on overall experience. So I enjoy it very much. Yeah. And then this helped me a lot. And even put it like this record dives, if I would be focusing on the actual dive, and like I would be like, okay, I'm doing this record dive, I need to do that and that and that. It'll be hard. But before the dive, I learned how to not to think about the actual dive, and I'm thinking about, okay, I'm doing this dive because I enjoy it. I'm doing this dive because I like deep diving. So this idea, like I'm doing this because I love it, that helped me a lot. Yeah. So that's something like I remember like
a little bit.
Yeah.
Changing the mindset, no?
Yeah, changing the mindset. Yeah. So this mindset was helpful a lot. So one of the learnings we shared before, like about learning how to lose, but also in this mindset where you like, okay, like I love free diving, so I'm doing it because I love this challenge and I want to test my abilities. And then you go like with this mindset down. So I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, nice. This is really nice because as you said, and Alexia said last time, you both are doing it for love. So you actually love so much free diving that you are being able to do what you do. So guys, if you do things with love, you will get a far way.
Basically. Exactly. Exactly.
I'm going to take advantage before asking you a question that I have on my mind, is because Rose was asking, apart from the concentration, have you tried other hypnosis techniques for depth or relaxation, etc.?
So hypnosis technique, not so much. I can say that like meditation, like just like meditation where you observe your breathing, for example, it's very helpful. So I think you can add on top of this your like not in the beginning. In the beginning, you learn how to relax more. You don't have like really enough attention to control, like to observe the breathing a little bit from the side. But with more experience, you learn to observe your breathing, but not get in the way like of controlling your breathing. So you observe this tidal breathing. So there is a tidal breathing, which is foundation of our breathing, like very relaxed. And then you observe the rhythmic, observing the rhythm is very helpful. So you feel this Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You're not controlling it, but you're like following with your mind over this rhythmic movement, and that that helps you to really like get into this meditative state where you like just like in the rhythmic motion, and then you can continue with this rhythmic motion when you swim. Like you do the dolphin kick or flutter kick, and then you like observe this movement, and then it's just observation of the movement puts you into this meditative state. So I think this having something rhythmic is very helpful, and then, like observing rhythmic movement is like puts you in this deep meditative state.
Thank you. Nice. Yeah.
And Rose and rhythm underwater are two big things. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. The other day we talked about rhythm. She was like, okay. Yeah.
And equalization as well. Like when you go down, you equalize with the rhythm, right? You're not equalizing when you feel like pain. You're not equalizing when you think you need to equalize. This way you will think a lot too much. And then you equalize more like with a personal rhythm, which is comfortable for you, but like you don't think about it like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or whatever is comfortable for you, for your mind.
We take us to ask you, actually, now that you mentioned the compass. Rosa has asked as well if you're continuing to dance salsa.
No, I don't. I remember Rose was my teacher. She was my teacher for salsa a very long time ago, but like I didn't do it for like because Rose didn't teach. Rose was not around. I need Rose to teach me more.
So you'll have to come back to Mexico and maybe we can salsa lessons.
Exactly.
But actually, as we are talking about this subject, I think that it's very interesting for a lot of people because as well you're bringing up like so many other, like going deeper into it, that she's asking, do you ever lose concentration or relaxation in the middle of the dive? And if so, what is strategy or recommendations to deal it to continue the dive? And I think that, it's a big thing for a lot of free divers, you know?
Well, I don't. And then just because it's trained so much, I don't lose it. And then it's not always perfect. Like, so sometimes, yes, sometimes like if you're not prepared for the dive really well, like you don't prepare for the dive with a lot of attention, you just start it without like full concentration on the dive. Like it's then you might not have the right mindset for the dive. Then it's not stable enough. So maybe like then if you lose it a lot, then it means you're not focused before the dive. So focus more before the dive on the preparation. So it's like a combination of relaxation, a combination of like proper breathing, but it's also a combination of mental focus. You relax physically, you relax in a way mentally, but you still keep the focus where because you're not like you don't want to be like a jellyfish. You don't want to be like super like relaxed. You still need to perform. You still need to perform the duck dive or like dolphin dive. We are like renaming it in Molchanov now because like it's not actually duck dive. It's like you learn how to do the dive with the dolphin kick. It's more like a dolphin dive. So then you need to do equalization. Then you need to do kicking. Then you need to do turn. So it's quite some things to do, and they all should be automatic. So a lot of them could be automatic, but it takes time. And not in the beginning, not everyone have the same automatic not the same level of having things automatic. So you need to combine relaxation with mental focus, and then when you have this focus, like you can focus on the like areas around in between your eyes, right? So like you create this mental focus, and then it helps you to be like on the task. You know what to do, and then it helps you to have this stable mental focus and just stable concentration without losing it. Right, so like try to spend more attention on the preparation. Make sure you do everything right before the dive, because during the dive it's a little bit late. Like if you lose concentration during the dive, it's harder to fix it. Like it's harder to like if you're already in the dive, like it's too late to fix it. Like start from the beginning. Start from the like 2 minutes, 3 minutes before the dive period. That's the foundation. If you have a proper breathing before the dive, if you have a proper like focus before the dive, then you'll execute the dive like more properly, right?
I have to say I agree with the champion. No, I always say that like our dives do not start when our dives don't start when we are actually starting the dive. They start when we are breathing. They've already started by the time we are already concentrating to go for it.
Exactly, yeah. And then the dive, the preparation breathing, the preparation phase, they're like focus. It's like determines like a biggest part of the success of the dive. Like you cannot start preparing or relaxing when you started the dive. You do it before.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that what I teach makes sense.
Exactly.
I have a big question that comes from one of the parts I love the most about freediving is the confront of fear. I think that water and freediving brings out a lot of fears of the people. Some people start by having those fears or confronting them since the very beginning of their dives as they go deeper. And we just did a live chat with Rose about that and how water as well helps us like see it more confrontly. And it comes to ask me, what has been your biggest fear, or what's your biggest fear when you freedive, or that you've had to overcome on your journey in freediving?
Well, the biggest fear. Well, I had some natural fears when I was beginner, and it's totally fine for everyone to have fears. Like just even the most simple one, the fear of depth, the fear of underwater monsters. Like like you have imagination. You look down at the black, where you somewhere where it's like really deep, and like, okay, what's going on down there? Like you don't see, and that's natural because we have these fears of like dark places. Like, and I think it's natural for our mind because we, like, long time ago we were next to the campfire and we like knew there are some predators who how can be dangerous outside of this white circle, right? And then this like is natural for our brain. So overcoming fears in general, I believe it's like a matter of like tries. You try, and if you're afraid of something, you're afraid of like depth or free diving because of something, you're afraid of some animals or afraid of like depth and like darkness, right? And you try. It's not about like getting ready for this. You try, and you try to make it easier with a friendly environment, and you try it, and every time you try, your brain adapts, and you're like, okay, it wasn't something, nothing scary came up to me from this depth. Okay, it's fine. And then next to your time, you're more relaxed. And for me, when I was 17, I remember when I was 17, I would be diving up like next to Blue Hole, and after the like reef in Dahab in Blue Hole, it's like 200 meters, 300 meters. It's really deep, and I would be like looking down. And even though I was a very good swimmer, and I was also, I had a lot of experience like freediving.
Yeah.
I looked down to the bottom and I couldn't see anything. I was like, oh, I had this sensation of like, I'm a little bit scared, like what's down there, right? But then with time, it's like you get used to it and you dive even at night. You have some night free diving, or like you're fine. So I think for me, there was like very gradual adaptation to the fears. I had some fears, but then I gradually adapt to them. Like I gradually increased the difficulty of the conditions. So like cold water, I didn't really go to the cold water diving immediately. I would have some experience in diving in like relatively cold water, then I would go to the cold water. So like I think it's what gradual progress is really makes it easy to adapt to the fears. Like you adapt with it. And then the sharks, I think like I was very worried when I would go dive with the sharks first time. It was actually in Mexico, like in Playa del Carmen. And it was my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was my first time.
Pretty close to you as well, let's say.
Yeah, and bull sharks as well. So like, okay, wow, like a bull sharks is really scary. And I would go down, I would look at them from afar, and then like Julian was there, and like I have these friends around, and then every time you go closer and closer and closer, and you're like, okay, it's actually not scary. So that's my journey. Like you like everybody have fears. I had fears, and you adapt to them. It's normal, and it's normal for the beginners.
You said no imagination, like when we are scared, we're thinking about what is going to happen when maybe there is nothing even there. It's just like,
exactly.
I suffer that a lot in the water, I have to say. Like that's why I love my cenotes, where there is no threats, and then I love the animals, but to go and swim, not to be on a line going down and up.
Yeah. Well, it's like I had the case when I was on the Pacific side in La Paz, in Mexico as well, and like Estrella was holding big blue competitions over there. And
you broke a world record there as well, didn't you? You broke a world record there as well.
I broke a world record there as well. And one of the trainings we go out there, and people like captain guys say, "Oh, like somebody saw orcas around here, like where we train. So they were like passing orcas, and like the visibility was not that great after 20 meters. So to the first 20 is good, but then after 20, there's a lot of little jellyfishes, like there's like a cloud of jellyfishes, and you go down there, not such good visibility, and you like have imagination. Okay, I'm down there at 100 meters alone, and then orcas are somewhere around there. Like you like you have this idea, and then you go up. I was going back really fast. I was like, like really try to go up fast. Yeah. But then
imagination is tricky.
Imagination is tricky, and then day after day, nothing bad happens, and like okay, you're relaxed, and like you feel
okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I think Ande had some more questions for you.
See, I have 1,000 questions. But I want to make lines. If you have more questions there. Pero no, I would just wanted to take, because you mentioned Mexico, like what was your experience in this beautiful, outstanding, crazy place such as the cenotes, no? Because we are very used to the ocean, but cenotes are something else, let's say. So what is your experience in Mexico? I would like to know.
I love Mexico a lot. I think from a lot of places where I've been, it's with a lot of diversity, with a lot of different conditions, and even cenotes, you have some cenotes with one color, with one like different clouds, different thermoclines, like haloclines, and it's interesting. Like in some cenotes, you have like just even shallow ones. I remember one of the fun one, Casa Cenote, like very shallow, very green with a mangrove bush, and it's like shallow 5 meters, so like how many meters is there? But it's beautiful, and you have this there. You have cenotes like Angelita and tons of other ones, underground ones. Like there are some like very go underground. It's like 60-meter cenotes with a little light going in, and then rivers. I had a lot of fun. One time with Adolfo, I would go to like this river somewhere in national park, and we would be in the river, which like flows really fast, and like you're there for like 1 hour just like going with the flow. Like I don't remember the place, but it was some sort of national park also in Mexico, and like it's just like small river, like 5 meters width, and you just like lay there and you go like 1 meter per second or like 50 meters per second.
In the Riviera?
I think it was somewhere around the Riviera. It was like it was a park, and it was super fun.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and then like also other side of Mexico, like with the sea lions, with the whale sharks. Like it's just so much diversity. I love Mexico.
Mexico, because as he's saying, for everyone, so they know, this is one magnificent country to do from one side to the other one, up and down. It has everything you would like in the water. So,
and it's all warm. It's all warm. That's a good thing. Like for example, in Russia, there is a lot of diversity as well. It's like 13 different seas around Russia, so it's a lot of water. Like you can imagine.
And you don't get one warmer. And you don't get one warmer one.
We have one warm water. It's a Black Sea. So Black Sea is relatively warm. It can be cold in summer, but in August last year, in September, I was doing 100-meter dive there, and it was 23, 24 Celsius on the surface, so it was relatively fine. I was using 3mm wetsuit. It was 8 degrees after 30 meters, so it's pretty cold, but it was good on the surface. But there's a lot of cold seas around. So Black Sea is warm one, but a lot of cold seas and also ones as well. So I was traveling to this like Arctic Ocean, and it was an amazing trip where I had some amazing time with the walrus, and that was amazing. And we have all the sea lions. We have a lot of nature in Russia, but it's colder. But it's also a lot to see. So if one day you want to experience cold adventures, come to Russia. Like make sure like you get some thicker wetsuit prepared, and then it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for that you said about the walrus, Fernanda has swam with orcas several times. So if you ever encounter an orca, know that that's going to be fine, hopefully. So she asks, have you ever actually encountered an unexpected animal while on the line? Probably she's asking.
Unexpected while doing freediving. Well, I think I had this one occasion in Sharm el-Sheikh a long time ago when the shark came to me and like it bumped into my back, into my bum actually. Yeah, so that was one of the unexpected encounters a long time ago, like 10 years ago plus. And I was doing dolphins and I didn't see it because I didn't have goggles. But my safety saw it, and like I saw my safety like really like freak out for a second, like go like this. and then I felt a bump into my back, into my lower back, like
Yeah.
bump, and then and then I saw the shark like going around, and I was like, and I was at like 40 meters or 30 meters, and I was like doing no fins, and like, wow, okay, like keep swimming.
Wow. Claro, those are the things you don't want to happen.
Yeah, that was one unexpected like shark encounter. Like when it wasn't big, but it was like actually like trying to, I don't know
Like
what she was
curious
trying.
about it, like
Yeah, curious about me. She was actually bumped.
Actually, that brings us to ask you, what is the funniest anecdote that you have freediving, like on your career?
Anecdote. Well, I think one of the funniest moments, I think one was when we had dives in Dahab, in Blue Hole in Dahab. And I love to I love to remember this story when Akim, one of the freedivers, Akim Ladari, was asking me to meet him at like he was doing a deep dive to 100 meters, and I knew I maybe like not 100 meters, 90 meters, but then I knew he was not his personal best, so I didn't really like, okay, like he's not going for personal best. It's not like really like like a big performance. And the funny thing that I was actually training this day, I was training no fins, so I didn't have my fins with him, and I was like, okay, interesting. He asked me to do safety. I don't have my fins with me, but I had another guy with me who was actually my safety, so we both go to meet him. I'm going to meet him without fins just for fun, and my friend is meeting him with the bifins, right? So I had another guy with a fin, but I go down like 20 meters, meet him with no fins, and like he just tells me the story afterwards. He was like looking at me, and like he saw me like doing safety for him with no fins, and like he was like, "Whoa, Alex, you have no fins on him. What's going on?" And then, like people are laughing. Like it was back in the days, like 2006, 2007, like long time ago. And it was not so strict around the rules for like for that. But I remember like he was shocked a little bit, but I knew yeah, I knew I was it was under control with my friend with the dolphins, but it was like fun. I think he tells this story even now. He was like, Alexey one time was doing your safety, like
safety with no fins.
Well, it's like Vladimir. Vladimir has told us several times that you guys made him do a rescue without fins. So now we know where it comes from.
Yeah, it was just like a test. How can you do rescue without fins? Yeah, but of course, like you always have somebody like if you do it.
Of course.
We all agree that safety always goes first, and we are aware of it.
So we're getting like I promised you that we wouldn't extend more 1 hour, but I know this question for Rose is super important, so I'm gonna just leave it here, and I don't want to extend too much. She's asking, which are the biggest teaching for you from Natalia as a person and as a freediver?
Well, I think we so like I touched a couple of those before, right? So there were some like teachings about actually this fear of failure and expectations. So I think that's the one which we can just remind again. So that was one of the biggest one which helped me with my freediving career, and like not taking these things too seriously. So you can actually not take like the things which are not that important. You make a big deal out of them. So like it's nothing in our lives really like it's a big deal, right? So like it's sort of like we have a lot of small things to worry about, but like a big deal, it's like it's only in our imagination, basically making things a big deal. Competition, and I think biggest example I would say from my mom as a person, as a freediver, but also as a person, is her dedication to her like goals and her mission. So she knew she gives example to the freedivers, and she knew she had responsibilities as a teacher. So her ability to work like full day from morning to the evening, like doing a lot of tasks, like executing on her personal training, on teaching in university, on writing methodics, on teaching courses. So she was like busy from morning to late evening every day. So I think this example was very important for me. How productive like you must be when you're like have responsibilities, right? So when you have responsibilities and community awaits for you the results on certain things, like it's like you need to really be there's no time to be lazy. There's no time to be like you need to deliver results, and like I think, and then you need to enjoy it as well. So my mom loved teaching. She was like passionate about it, and she was like working a lot, but she didn't really like took it as like a job, like which you drag and you like don't enjoy it. She enjoyed it a lot, and I also like I realized with her example and with my current like status of the world champion, I realized like people await example from me on the performance. So I really try to show good example to the community. So with my dives, and then I also realized like okay, like we have to develop this methodic, and we have to give to the community what they want, and that's in the core of Molchanov's movement, like education and training, that we will listen to the community. Because, and then I think the most like it's like in a way it's like really natural for us, because the education board, like all the ambassadors and everybody is active freediver, really high level freedivers. So we have a good like a good connection to the community. A lot of our like education board members and all people just who help, like volunteers, a lot of volunteers who help us. They're like ITs and like people who have little communities around the world. So they like it's like really like really not, I wouldn't say easy. It's like, but it really straightforward for us to like to do this work with the community, and I like it a lot, and I like to participate. Like we have a big team, so it's not only me. So this development of movement is a big team effort. And like we have like Chris Kim, he's like was CEO for the Molchanovs for the last couple of years, and a big thank to him, because he was able to really push this movement forward as well. Like, and because I like, and I was able to focus my attention on the equipment as well. So it's another part. Like I really like enjoy doing these equipment projects, like developing the gear for me and for the community. So like all this requires focus, and like you just like realize that it's community which like awaits result from you, and you enjoy it a lot. And I think that's the lesson my mom taught me. Like if you have like if you like something, you gotta understand how important it is for you, and like really execute like with a lot of passion for it, and be productive.
Thank you, Alexey. It's awesome what you're saying, because it's actually one of the things you brought, and it's something that we admire a lot, and we use you as an example when we show any dives, is like how beautiful it is to see you dive, not only on technique, but that your dives are as clean as they can be, and you're the world champion, and you're showing that to the community, that you can enjoy and come out of the dive like feeling amazing about it, and transmitting that, which goes a long way for everyone that is doing the sport, and getting into the sport. So it's beautiful to see that. And as we were saying,
I try my best. It's not always perfect. So there are like sometimes when it's you do mistakes. Like, we're all human. Yeah,
you need to be human as well.
I have one more question, and then I can just, you can leave with this question and be like, what would you do if you weren't a freediver? Probably
if I would not be a freediver.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I had a lot of opportunities when I was a kid. So I was playing violin for 7 years. So one of my choices which I made when I was a kid is like when I was 10 years old, my mom would like, I was playing violin since I was maybe 4. When I was 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old, and like I had a choice if I continue swimming or if I play violin and go this path, like I play in conservatory. And then I chose swimming, but if I wouldn't be a swimmer, maybe I would play violin like in the orchestra. Yeah. So that would be like, I enjoy mathematics, and I was in my specialty is IT and automation. Like maybe I would be like a programmer as well, and I can do. So it's like all about like choices we made, right? So everybody can be anyone, and like whatever you're good when you're a kid, like when you're a kid, you have a lot of like things your parents built into your skill set. So you have skills when you're a kid, and then whatever you feel like you're passionate about, you choose. And then maybe if I would be choosing to spend my time and focus on mathematics or programming, I'll be a good programmer. Maybe I'll be like somewhere in the Silicon Valley, like doing some programming right now. So it just depends on your focus and passion, and
the dedication.
I think anyone can be anyone. We have some talents, let's say, but I think it's a lot of this is our like what we just spent a lot of time on when we were kids, or like what we have a lot of interest and passion on. So it's like, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. That was a perfect answer for one.
Thank you so much, Alexey, again for your time. It was amazing chatting with you from a lot of different perspectives, like not just like technical freediving, but I think that getting to know you a little bit more as a person as well, and your journey, it's beautiful. And we hope to see you soon in the Riviera Maya or somewhere in the water.
Finally, so I can take my course.
Thank you very much. And do the challenges. I see the Rose was mentioning the challenges.
Rose and Mariana have done them. So they've nominated me, but I'm not doing squats. I'm sorry.
There's a new one. There's a relay squats. So it's a squats, but in a team. So there's a squat relay challenge. So you do in the team, and like 5 squats, one person, 5 squats, another person. So you do only 5 squats, but in the rounds.
Oh, that's so
claro. You like having fun and doing games, and Rose said, like, she asked, actually, we were missing it out, but it's like, which one has been the funniest challenge you've done without the freediver?
I think the challenge is like this challenge with the squats is fun, especially the relay, when you have a team, when you have like people like you need a team captain, and then like you have people squatting, and then somebody's finishing, can't hold anymore, so they quit, and then people who are quitting, they will like start to cheer for the ones that breathful, like, hey, go go go, and like the last one is squatting as much as possible. So that's like a funny one. I think the last one is really like it requires a lot of tactics, so it requires teamwork, and it's really good one to develop like actually like, and especially now to unite little teams remotely.
Yeah, that's beautiful to get to know people from all over the world without. Yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah. So try to do a small team challenge.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Take care, and thank you to everyone that has been connected live, and it keeps smiling surface interval. We wait for you on Friday with another surprise.